Geekazine's special coverage of HP Discover 2011 is brought to you by Iolo System Mechanic. Go over and use the code Geekazine for up to 50% off System Mechanic 10. And Wirecast. Produce all your video straight from your computer right to the internet with Wirecast. Go over to geekazine.com and click on the link. Of course, Geekazine is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Over at techpodcast.com. If it's tech, then it's here. All right, continuing coverage of HP Discover. Jeffrey Powers here with Geekazine.com and the Tech Podcast Network at TPN.TV. If it's tech, then it's here. You know, we've been throwing around the word cloud like it's a toy or something like that. In fact, a lot of people are talking about the cloud drinking game. Every time you hear the word cloud, it's you take a drink, you know, like Bob and stuff like that. But it's a brand new thing for everybody, and everybody keeps hearing it, and everybody's got different definitions of how they're implementing the cloud, experiencing the cloud. So what we got here is we got Matt Zanner and we got Francis Guida here, and what they're going to do is they're going to explain why, just the basics on the cloud and what HP is doing in a system called Cloud System, and how they're provisioning the cloud so you can work a little bit better. So how you guys doing?
Great.
Just great.
So the real question is why? Let's just start with that one right there.
Okay.
All right, well, yeah, I'll get started. So, I mean, at the end of the day, so first of all, actually, I like that cloud drinking game. I'm going to a party tonight, and we may trot that one out.
Okay.
But for why cloud, it's really, it boils down to the business wants to do things faster. They want things now. They can whip out their credit card and get a virtual machine from Amazon, and they think, great, cloud is fast, that's the way to go. Now, IT is very reasonably concerned that maybe whipping out your credit card and using something at Amazon might not be the right thing to do if you're dealing with, for example, sensitive data, compliant data. That could be a problem if you've got things, service levels that you need to manage. So IT is very concerned about that. But at the end of the day, why cloud? It's because businesses want things now so that they can have faster time to revenue, faster time to innovation, really basically bringing in the bottom line faster.
Okay. Well, you know, a lot of people have a lot of questions about the cloud, and I know you guys have heard some of those questions here this week. Why don't you see? Are there any questions that have been jumping out a lot, especially because these are not the regular everyday people. These are the educated IT people.
Right.
So, what are the questions that you're getting from a show like this, and in dealing with cloud?
I'd say the biggest question I've got, and I must have heard it probably 10 times in the last couple of days talking to a lot of the folks on the floor, is they get cloud. They're sort of past the confusion stage. They understand, as Francis said, how it can really help the IT staff better respond to the service requests coming from the lines of business, right? But they're asking us how to help them articulate the value of cloud to their bosses, right? Seems to be a very prevalent challenge. They get the benefits, but they're having a really hard time convincing folks up the stream in their organizations that this is the right direction to take the IT department. And what we've been trying to prescribe is just really simple examples. You know, have those folks feel the pain and frustration that goes on when a service request comes in, and the response is, we can do that in 8 to 12 weeks, right? 8 to 12 weeks time means slower time to revenue from the original request, and if you can shrink that 8 to 12 weeks into days or even minutes to stand up that service request, dramatic effects happen on the front end of the company, right? Yeah. You get to take in more service requests. We'd like to think all service requests in IT are tied to some sort of revenue growth target. So it just properly fuels it that way. The IT staff can be the hero, and they can grow. They can start small and grow tall from there.
You know, the funny thing is, I've been in IT for a lot of years. And in my previous life, the last job I had, we basically had a bunch of servers sitting in, well, a closet. And you know, you think about it, just 3 years ago, you don't think that people would use a closet to be their server room. Yet there's a lot of businesses that do use a closet to be the server room, and that's the single point of everything. It was no failover. There's no if something goes down in there, something goes down in there. So by implementing the cloud, that type of room is pretty much non-existent anymore.
Well, I think there's varying definitions of cloud for size and complexity of customer. I think the largest enterprises, the global 2K accounts, they're very interested in mixed environments, right? They know they have some traditional IT. They want to start building out an on-premise private cloud, and they want the ability to burst appropriately to public cloud sources, right? So one of the things we were excited to announce during Discover was the ability from HP Cloud System to actually burst to Savvis, right, as a provider of cloud services seamlessly and manage it consistently from an enterprise perspective. Then you have the smaller companies that you suggested that pretty much their entire IT footprint is on that small site in the closet. They are actually pretty natural candidates to leverage public cloud a lot more readily. Right?
Yeah, definitely, because I remember times that it would have been nicer if it would have actually been off-site, managed by a third-party company, and whether it be Exchange or whether it be the virtual private network that we ended up setting up or anything like that.
If I might just add to what Matt said, especially talking about some of the smaller companies. So Gartner has forecast that by 2012, that's next year, 20% of companies will not have IT on site.
Really?
So those closets are going away. Now, I doubt you're going to see any large Fortune 500 customers who have no IT on site. Maybe quarter cases who are really cloud providers, if you will. But a lot of small businesses can get a lot of the services that they need today out of cloud services.
So they would hire up a third-party company like HP or like another company to handle everything there?
Well, they would turn to a provider of applications that are delivered as a service, as opposed to having for example, if you have you're a small business and you need an accounting system, instead of having the accounting system on a PC or a server that you run within your own business, you can actually get that very well off of the web so you have a PC, but that's all you have.
Okay. Let's talk connectivity, because that's one of the big concerns that I have. I don't think we're at the point in technology that we have an everywhere system. I mean, I could be, I don't know, in the Andes Mountains or something like that, and all of a sudden I've got to take care of a call. And part of the cloud is to be able to connect from wherever you are. I'm a little concerned that I won't be able to make that type of service. On the same token, if I am in a stable environment with some internet access, I can do that. But how would you answer something like that? The fears of the people saying, what if I'm in a situation where I can't get to what I need to get to?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because I think it'll mean different things to different audiences, right? So if you're an enterprise, right, the concept of connectivity is probably limited to what they're used to enjoying today, right? Whether it's a mobile device that's supported by the IT organization, or whether they're VPNing from home, right, to resources as an employee. So cloud wouldn't really adjust any of that, right? That would be able to maintain that level of connectivity. I think what you're referring to is a more interesting case of the actual consumer, right? Getting used to having access to everything all the time.
Well, a little bit of that, and a little bit of the weary IT person going, well, if we put this out in the cloud, how do I take care of my employee, what I would call my customers, if they have questions or if they're not sure how to connect to places like that.
The dubious question about service level agreements, that
pretty much,
I guess is the hard one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's an evolving space, to be quite honest, with cloud, right? I think the market's immature, to say the least. I think there's varying flavors of services that come with their own service level agreements. So HP, for example, has something called an enterprise compute service, right? Which is it's enterprise grade private cloud provided virtually, meaning it's hosted on HP data centers. But as far as the customer is concerned, the enterprise, it looks a heck of a lot like their environment that they would be used to, and it brings the same level of service agreement to it, right? So it's very robust, intended for mission critical applications. And then it runs the gamut from there, right? You saw what happened with some recent outages with popular service providers, right? and with regards to the service providers, you have to read the fine print, because not all of them are in the business to offer mission critical cloud services.
That's true. I mean, yeah, if my MP3 cloud goes down tomorrow, I might not get it for 24, 48, or 2 weeks.
Yep.
So,
and what we're trying to do with Cloud System is create a single platform that allows you to pick the appropriate resource pool for a given service. So if it is a mission critical service, you at the IT level would set the policies such that when that service is selected for consumption, it would always rely on your on-premise private cloud where you can guarantee some level of availability. If it's a more flexible service, right, where a little bit of downtime isn't going to hurt the process, you have a policy set to go push it to public cloud, right? That flexible platform is what a key element of Cloud System.
Okay. Any news that we should be talking about with Cloud System right now?
Well, yeah. So let me make sure that your viewers know what Cloud System is, because we've talked about it a couple of times. I'm not sure we've actually even ever defined it.
That's a good point.
So, Cloud System is the leading solution that HP has to help enterprises and service providers build cloud environments. So this is targeted at enterprises who want to build clouds internally within their enterprises, what's usually called a private cloud, or service providers who want to build cloud environments on which they would offer services to the general public or to other companies. Cloud System is an integrated and open environment. So it's integrated both infrastructure to application, top to bottom, and also deployment to retirement of assets. So the end-to-end life cycle, because everybody focuses on how fast I could get something, but once you've got something, you need to keep it up to date and maintained. And the idea about cloud is as well, when people are done with it, you get the resources back. So Cloud System is integrated top to bottom, end to end. It provides this view of all of the cloud services, whether those are things that are delivered internally or from external service providers. So that's the core of Cloud System. And what we announced, and we've been delivering this to customers, it's all based on proven technology, converged infrastructure from HP, cloud service automation software. We're pulling all of those technologies together into this integrated solution. What we announced here today is we are extending the ability of Cloud System to burst to provide extra capacity for peak needs. So you have a certain amount of capacity within your environment, you need something extra. How do you get that? Today, typically you have to provision a lot of extra capacity just in case that rarely gets used. So we've actually got a dual bursting approach where you can burst externally to a service provider like Savvis. Actually, Matt was talking about that briefly earlier, where a cloud system, from the same way as you would select the resource pool that you would pull resources from internally, you just select that you want to also look at resources from an external provider. You select that and Cloud System will automatically go out and get those resources. That's sort of classic bursting externally. We're doing this today with Savvis. We'll have it available, generally available with Savvis at the end of this year, extending it to other service providers in the beginning of next. We're also, for customers who can't use an external bursting capability, because for example, a lot of customers are running data where they've got lots of compliance rules, like HIPAA compliance rules or locality compliance rules that has to stay within a given state or a different given country. We can actually do a bursting-like implementation within their own data center, where we provide them some extra capacity up front that they only pay for when it's actually being used. Cloud System Matrix will turn those resources on when it's needed. When they're no longer needed, it turns them off, and it's kind of like a taxi, and the meter is running, you're paying, you get out of the taxi, you're not paying for it anymore.
And you don't have to give them a tip.
And you don't have to give them a tip. Although they're appreciated.
You'll take tips? Okay. Let's one more question here, and this is about being green and using the cloud to be green. We talked. There's been some facts or some figures out there that they say that implementing the cloud could actually make you a greener company.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So, I think there are a couple of things that make you greener about a cloud. So, first of all, by their nature, clouds are shared pools. And the more you can share across different demands, typically the less resources that you need in total. Because as we've talked about, the way IT usually works is I know I need this much, but I'm going to have some extra just in case. And that extra shared across a larger population means that you need less extra just in case. And usually that extra just in case is always being powered, so it's using a lot of energy. So that's one way that a cloud environment can really address the greener environment. As well as companies are looking at cloud environments, they're looking at very modular approaches to their data center. And in fact, today or this week at Discover, we've also announced something called an Echo Pod, which is a very efficient containerized data center. For every 1 watt of power that it actually needs, it only needs 1.5 watts to power it, compared to a typical data center needs about 2.4 watts to get 1 watt of IT out of it. So cloud, in very large scale environments, the cloud lends itself to those ultra efficient data center kinds of environments.
Okay.
So
is there a book, or because I've been asking people, we all know go to hp.com for more information.
Sure.
But so is there a book or a white paper or a document or anything that the IT administrator can get their hands on to read and look at or whatever?
Yeah. So for those of you who use smartphones, if you go to www.hpcloudsystem.com, you can find out everything you need to know about Cloud System. You can actually see some demos of how Cloud System works. It'll talk about all of the different flavors of offerings that we have for Cloud System. So it's a really rich resource. So again, that URL was www.hpcloudsystem.com. And I don't know, Matt, do you have something else?
Yeah, I'll mention one other thing. So if this sounds compelling, right, and another question back to your earlier one about what questions are we getting, we've been hearing, so how do I get started?
Okay.
Right, I think step one, go educate yourself, go to the resources Francis mentioned to learn about what Cloud System's all about. And then if you feel that you've got a strategy in place, you understand a direction that you want to go with your company, we can go stand up a private cloud in as little as 30 days with something called HP Cloud Start. It's a bundled, fixed scope service, if you will, includes hardware, software, and the services necessary to stand up your private cloud, turn the keys over to you with the service catalog populated, and you're ready to roll, right? So we're really fixating on making this capability simple to adopt and easy to get going so that people can see the value of it and expand from there.
If I was to do something like that, how much would something like that cost?
I think you're looking at a couple $100,000 as a starting point, right? Which, again, back to that service request, you're dropping service requests from months to days, hours, minutes. You're paying for that very quickly and demonstrating success.
I was with the CIO of a known company. I was with the CIO of a known company just a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying, you know what? If this costs us $500,000 to get a proof of concept up and running, that is $500,000 well spent.
So the return
that's what these these companies are. Large companies who are looking to get these kinds of things going, they're seeing lots of value in this.
Well, thank you guys very much for coming on the show, Francis. Thank you very much, man.
Appreciate it.
So, if you've got a cloud, if you're interested in setting up a cloud, doesn't matter if you're a small business, doesn't matter if you're a big business. You know that you've got the ability to save yourself some money on energy, save yourself some money on cost of getting it up and running. The return on investment is definitely there. So Cloud System is one of the ways you can take a look at. So what was the name of the website again?
Well, so
for the white papers,
for the mobile phone app, it's hpcloudsystem.com. For white papers, we've got technical white papers, we've got business white papers, and that's hp.com/go/cloudsystem.
There you go. Check it all out in there. This is HP Discover. Thank you guys very much for being on the show.
You.
We've got even more interviews, so stick around here. We're going to be right back with some more. Jeffrey Powers with Geekazine Tech Podcast Network. We'll be right back. Geekazine's special coverage of HP Discover 2011 is brought to you by Iolo System Mechanic. Go over and use the code Geekazine for up to 50% off System Mechanic 10. And Wirecast. Produce all your video straight from your computer right to the internet with Wirecast. Go over to geekazine.com and click on the link. Of course, Geekazine is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Over at techpodcast.com. If it's tech, then it's here.